In this video I'm going to show you guys how to make realistic looking rivers using World Painter. Now this episode follows on for the last, so if you're just starting with World Painter, I would advise going into the description and clicking on the playlist so that you can get caught up with all of the episodes that we've done so far. Now if you're new to the channel at all, we do a lot of time lapses and tutorials just like this one, so make sure to hit that subscribe button. Anyway, let's get into the main tutorial. So the first thing we actually need to do is something that's quite boring, and it does take quite a bit of time, and that is to smooth out bits of terrain. So for example, I'm just going to switch off my annotations layer here that I've got. Let's just turn that off completely. So what I've actually got here, for example, was a couple different places where I want like a river going from here and making its way down. Generally it doesn't look that bad, except that we do have a couple places like here where it then drops down and goes up, and that doesn't look too good. So what you want to do is you actually want to go and grab the smooth terrain brush, and you can choose like various different brushes for this if you wanted to. I typically go for something like hills because I find that it's not going to affect the terrain too much around it, but it's not going to be a circle, so that's always good. And what you want to do is you want to literally be going around on these bits and just smoothing out the edges and smoothing out a nice path. So you'll have like a river come down here, that'll go to, say for example there. You might want to also use the flatten tool as well and maybe pull this in so that you get like a little bit more space on those kind of points there, so it looks like it's been dug into it, it's not just there. And you will basically be doing this going all the way through your entire map. It isn't the most fun thing to do, I'll admit, but it is one of those essential things. So something like this big area here, I'll definitely use the flatten tool to actually pull that in. I need to whack my intensity up a little bit there. There we go. So I get something like that, and then I'll end up doing this just to fill that in. And then typically, again, dragging out some of these points here to flatten it out. Just make it look a little bit more natural, so I'll have it coming, kind of coming down here, most likely. Now what that looks like, I've got, no, it's just 2 blocks, that's okay, so it's 74 and 75. So the place I'm looking down at here is right at the bottom, so do take care with those. But, go around, well, that was not good. There we go. That was very bizarre then, it was almost like it still kept clicking and moved me around. So yeah, do take some time to get all of this right and get a couple different rivers all going, areas where it looks natural. So I'm going to go for this one going down here. I'm going to continue this on until it actually meets like a bigger river down here on this side. And I'm probably going to join up another river going down here and kind of like smooth out and find my paths. Do use your annotation layers. Most likely they have changed from the plan, so I am going to be redoing mine so that I know roughly where I'm going to be placing these rivers, and kind of like go from there. But after you guys have done that on a bit, what we're going to do is we're going to set up 2 custom brushes. We're actually going to do custom layers, and we're going to then start painting on these rivers and having a look at them. So I've done a little bit more work off camera and just smoothed out a couple different places where I'm going to have little rivers, little streams, but we've got enough in order to start looking at doing some different custom object layers. So what we do for that is we go onto layers here, and down the bottom here we'd have to have this add a custom layer. If you've already got them, you already have a tab down here, but click on that and we're going to do a custom ground cover layer. So that's the one that I actually want. Material wise, what we're going to need is to actually add a new material, and of course we're going to call this water. Not surprising. If you wanted to do like a lava river, then guess what, you can do it with lava, but for us, what we're going to do is we're going to find, of course it's all changed now, we're going to find water. So where is water? There it is. So we've got water like that. That's if you want to do the modern way. You could have done it by the legacy block ID way. And we're going to keep it as that one. We're not going to do stationary water. We're going to want it to be moving, because then it kind of like fills in the gaps for it. Also, color, we're going to go for a nice kind of light blue. I think I'm going to do, well, the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm actually going to, going to be called water. It's going to be a nice light blue for that actual custom layer. But when we get onto here, you'll notice you also get another color. So then on this one, we're then going to also go for light blue. And this time we're going to call this, well, we will call this layer down here on the name. We're actually going to call this stream, so we're going to create a small little stream type starting layer for it. And we're also going to do like a bigger kind of river. And of course you can do different varying scales if you wanted to. So for thickness, what we do, this is going to be digging into the ground. So we're going to go -1. And what you'll notice is we've got some variation range. If you like put this onto something like 2, yeah, some variation of 2, and that should do it. So there we go, we've got a hard edge. Yeah, we do want to see what it looks like with a hard edge. So the preview pattern, obviously that looks a little bit strange, but that will do for now. Let's give it a go. So we just do OK. We've now got our custom layers. So that automatically creates the extra tab, which is custom layers. We've got stream, and what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do at least, and of course it will depend on what your map is like. I'm just going to zoom in a bit, quite a bit even, in fact, and going to go on to the pencil tool. I've got that selected. For the brush, I'm going to go for a very, very harsh constant circle with 100%, because I don't want, with rivers you want them to be completely solid. You don't want them to have like dots of water around, so you obviously want that. I'm going to start at the top of this here, so this is going to be my starting point, and I'm just going to draw it like this and going down like that. And what you'll instantly notice is, well, actually this is going to be, each of these is going to be a block, so what we want to do is start to join them up if you want to do this, and it can be really, really fiddly. It depends on how thick you want it. But there we go, that, something like that. Let's get those two there, so at least we've got this starting point, and that can go up to, say, like there, or even higher than that, in fact. Have expanded the map a little bit, and because of that, because we're being so big now, it's a little bit more difficult for me to move around. So there we go, I'm just going to bring this up to, say, there, like that. Okay, so then we've got something like this. What we're going to do now is we're going to expand that a little bit. So I did have it on the smallest. I let it just auto-save. And we're basically expanding it to just one bigger. And you start to step it up as you go. You can, of course, join multiple streams to each other as well. Okay, that was very, very strange on that auto-save function there. Right. Okay, let me just auto get back to that. That was really weird. It is on the 1.14 version now as well, which is really good. But there could be, of course, bugs for that. So what I'm going to do is right here, I'm just going to join this up. So that does not work. Undo that. So from here, let me just kind of go back on that. I'm going to do it from here. There we go. So like something like that. And over here, I might actually have it coming from like this point and drag that down and have that coming through here to then join up. So we're trying to create like little streams that go into each other and join up, and then of course we can then start to do things like this where we just connect them together like that. And any more, yeah, that one there, like that. And it will, and you will make mistakes, and it doesn't matter too much. We'll get to the same point on this side. So I'm going to quickly whiz through this, just completely, put in those little points, and I'll get back to you guys. Alright, so after a little bit more work, what I've actually got is something that looks like this. So as you can see, it's a lot more smoothed out. I've tried to follow the contours of the land, but I've also added in these two other, smaller streams, especially with this one. It's really, really small, joining up. Now what should happen is, well, naturally what you're going to get, obviously, smaller streams joining into each other will make a bigger river. But the other thing you've got to think about is also runoff as well. So runoff of hills, so it might not be a stream at all, but they'll collect together. It will make a river kind of bigger. And we really use this effect in World Painter to make the river kind of get bigger quite quickly. Because of course we don't have as much land. We're not going to have, thousands of miles, well, hundreds of miles to actually do that. So what I typically do is for these ones, because we've got like one block, it's not too bad. I've just noticed one tiny little, probably around there, is that on there, I missed, but yeah, we're not going to have as much to play around with. So what I'm going to do is just kind of, make this a little bit bigger, so we kind of get to this. And now all I've done is just stepped up my brush to be that tiny bit bigger. And what I want to do from here is, there you go, join from there. So that's the natural kind of join point. And then I'm going to start dragging this down now from here, like that. And I've got to get mine through this little point here, but at least that bigger you get with your brush, usually the easier it is. And of course you can go in and you can edit it as well later on. For example, that I didn't like what I was just doing then. So let's just join this up for the time being. And you also don't want to go too overboard with little streams. What you'll find is, depending on what you're actually building, is you might actually have more things connect up later on. So do be aware of that. So we're just going to keep on dragging this down here. I'm just going to keep this going down like this. And just thicken it up on bits as well. So you'll see the bits that don't look quite right. You know, like here doesn't look quite right at all. So there we go, get that there. And for me, I actually am going to split my river in two. So I'm going to have it going down here. So let's continue that one on first. Let's get that done. Like that. And I'm also going to have it going down here as well, which is a bit abnormal. Of course, we're going to have like almost like a little river island type thing. It might not always split. It depends. It's again, rivers are one of those things that it can be quite different. So if I go for like that, there we go. That's made that nice and smooth. So they can be really different. You can of course get deltas, which is where you almost get the opposite of what you would see with streams happening, and you get like bits of more swampy land kind of around those. You know, definitely if you wanted to do delta, they're a little bit more harder to do, but can be quite interesting. So there we go, we got that. Like that. And I'm just going to drag mine from this side as well and sort that out. And there we go. So that's going to be a very, very small-ish river. But let's have a look at it. I'll render this out and I'll show you guys what it looks like in-game. Alright, so just a couple of quick tweaks to our stream layer that we've created. So thickness, do that as -3. We're then also, going to have no variation at all. The edge shape, actually go with linear. This seems to work a lot better. Smooth doesn't seem to work the kind of way that I remember it working. And also put the width to, for example, 4. And that should all work pretty good. So yeah, what I've done already is I've, of course, rendered that out. So let's have a quick look. I'll show you guys what it looks like. And there we go. So this is what we get. So we get a very, very small kind of river. The reason it's not gone, you know, free wide or free down even, is because it's not that wide. So we've got some bits that we need to widen up. In this case, we probably for this river here, we're not actually going to need a second brush, but I will find another place, or I'll have a tweak of these to see if I can find another place on the map to go through the secondary brush. But you can kind of see how this actually works. It's cut into the ground, mostly by one block, as you can see here, and has got this nice stream going on, just kind of like cutting through this kind of like valley here, and generally looks pretty okay. So there's a couple of different points, like when it goes up to here, for example, I would quite naturally, you know, take this bit of water that we've got here and probably have it coming from, I don't know, somewhere like there. But typically I wouldn't do that in World Painter, I would do that afterwards. It just makes it a lot easier. Same with probably this side as well. We could actually have that coming from up here as well and have like a little stream from there and joining into that bit. So yeah, do have a look at those and same little bits. But overall, it actually doesn't look too bad. So yeah, I'm going to be doing this on most of my map, and I'm going to be giving you guys some good kind of tweaks or tips and things like that. And probably, at least with this bit for my one, I'm going to be widening this side here and really separating this island, because I'm going to have a nice town or city or something around this area. So need more water coming in, as well as it being joint to the hills or mountains over in this side. So I'll catch you guys in a bit and show you what I've done. So after quite a lot of time, what I've actually done is completed all of the rivers on my map. And yeah, there's one thing that I want to show you guys on why you should actually have at least 2 different river brushes, and that's because of the steepness of the angle of your actual rivers, and you can't really use one to get the same effect. So yeah, you can see I've done a lot of them. I've made some quite big ones. This one is my kind of like biggest one. It has, you know, lots of little streams that then get into a bigger river, and it builds up over time in this kind of mountain valley. It would be is the longest river that I've got on this map so far, but it won't be the biggest in total, because I've got this whole landmass that I'm going to be doing at some point. But yeah, I want to show you guys very, very quickly the reason why. So if we just jump into Minecraft here, what we can see is that stream brush actually for, you know, places like here works perfectly. They're like these smaller kind of like streams. It feels quite natural. It feels quite, you know, quite good. And there's not really any problems with that. And then, you know, that just goes off into some very nice looking mountains now. I really like this area. It's my favourite area so far. But when you get to like areas like this, it then doesn't quite work. You know, the banks on the side just look really straight, really straight. It doesn't quite work. And the further down we get, the more apparent it becomes. I mean, this again isn't too bad. It's quite steep the way that it goes down, but that's okay. But when we get into like somewhere like here, we then start to really get this kind of like flat bottom of the river, and that then becomes more of an issue the further down we go. And what we actually want is we want it to look quite smooth. There we go. So you can really see it now, just how it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look the way that a river would actually look. And as we get even bigger, until we finally get to the ocean, which is not too far away, you can kind of see the effect on it. You know, yeah, we've got smooth terrain going down. The actual when it drops down a block, it's looking okay, but it is just the angle of it. So we need to create another brush in order to kind of fix that, to sort that out. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, the actual everything else about it is okay. It doesn't look too bad. Also, I do advise you guys putting lakes around as well. For me, this area just naturally had kind of depressions in it, and it just fits with that kind of area. It just looks really nice. But yeah, do put those in. So let's go back into World Painter, like this. Now, what actually determines... I'll get the right screen up. What actually determines the kind of like steepness is this width. So if you turn that up, what you'll find is those smaller streams then start to be less deep. So they're really shallow. But it will fix the ones that are down here on the bigger streams, and that's why it's better to create a duplicate. So if we right click on the actual stream, we can actually go and duplicate this, and of course it's going to be called by normal copy of water. We actually want that, we just want water, and what we want to call it is, for example, something like river. And actually the natural colour that I've got, this nice blue, is there, but you know, it's up to you guys if you wanted to use a different colour. I'm actually going to go for smooth this time, and the width I'm actually going to turn up to 8, so it's going to take twice as long to get to that kind of like depth. So we can have that, but -5, that kind of worked. I might go for -6, for example, and leave that there, and just do OK. What it will do when you duplicate, I'm pretty sure it creates a custom material, or does it not? I actually don't think it creates a custom material. For some reason, I thought that it did, but it doesn't. But yeah, we've got a river. So what we can actually do, because we've already tried this out, and again, you can just use one brush to try everything out and get it all. You can then go onto the kind of like pencil. We can click on river. We can click on quite a hard brush like this one. Whack the intensity up, and we can do only on layer stream. Nice and easy. So now if we just click that, we now have this building up. So, you know your map at this point to where you kind of want it to go to. So for example here, now I can have mine just overlapping a little bit, it won't matter too much. So we can always come in and we can always clean this up, you know, we can always have it where it just as where it meets like that, you know, that kind of thing will look absolutely fine. And then for me, I can notice it on these bits. So that means that kind of gives me an idea of where I actually want it. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it kind of end, not where I've got these two streams coming in, but just a little bit further up to like here, somewhere like that. Okay, and just do that. And then what you can do, if you want to, is you can do only on layer river this time. Whoops, layer river. And then you can click on stream, and then you can right click to then remove the stream layer from that river layer. It sounds really strange because you've just done the complete opposite of everything. But now you can see the kind of colour difference that we've actually got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to render this out, and we're going to have a look at it and see if that works or if it needs a little bit more tweaking. Okay, so I've done a little bit more tweaking, and there's a couple of things that I want to show you guys. So first is go onto your river layer, and what I've got here is I've actually got a thickness of -7 and a width of 13 blocks. So it takes 13 blocks in order to go down from whatever layer it is, and all the way down to -7. It'll take 13 blocks, and it'll do it in a smooth way. So that's the first thing I actually did. The kind of next thing that I really noticed on rendering it out is, so for example, on these kind of like edges here, where we actually have the stream meeting the river, what will happen is, because it's a kind of like dead stop, totally forgot about this, because it's totally a dead stop, what ends up happening is you kind of get this like shelf, so it moves, you know, the blocks go up to it. So what you actually do need to do is, you know, do something where you go onto the stream layer, do only on river, and then we can actually just do like something where it, you know, goes over by a couple blocks. So there is an overlap. You do need an overlap, and that'll mean any parts where you're actually having it joining, do make sure that you do that. And yeah, use this only on the river layer in order to do that. And then we go. I'm just going to smooth mine out a little bit like that. So yeah, definitely do that. Really, really worth doing, and do that for any part where it does join. So, for example, over on these bits as well, for me anyway. And then what I'll do is I'll show you guys what it looks like. But yeah, just do something like this. Smooth it out, and just like that for this one maybe. So I'm going to move mine back a little bit, so it's something like that. So just a couple blocks will then smooth out that harsh kind of edge and make it look like it's going in. So I'm going to render this out, and then we'll have a look at it. So here we are. So if we have a look at it, I'll show you guys what it looks like, especially with those kind of joins that we've got. You know, these bits that are next to this island now look a lot better. It's a lot, you know, shallower, which would actually make a lot of sense for like an island like this. You wouldn't expect it to be deep on either side of it. And then we get this kind of bit here where it is a little bit deeper. And then the rivers here, you can see that they then break through. What happened before is effectively something like this, where there was this like solid line going all the way over here, and it just looked really strange, like it just stopped. Whereas at least this would then, you know, bring this out a little bit. You could of course do it by hand, but who wants to do that when you can do it in World Painter? So we get the kind of same thing here. Again, all I'd do with this one is just knock out one block, and then it looks absolutely fine. So, you know, that I don't really mind doing by hand. Of course, could fix it as well. So there we go. This river is going all the way up here, and we can see this is a little bit of an issue. So this is to do with the difference between this one being so deep and this one being or taking a lot longer to get there. And I think it's because I was trying to use the stream layer to do two different things, which was, you know, the actual stream itself and also everything else. So what I'm actually going to do is change my stream layer to only be 3 blocks thick at its most, because I'm going to be using this other river layer. So if we just very quickly before, and always do this as well, this is really good practice to actually do. Once it's finished, it's autosave, is to actually go into World Painter while you've got Minecraft up and just do little tweaks. So I'm going to be doing, yeah, there we go, thickness of, whoops, -3 blocks. And I think that will actually make it look a lot better, because this one here, whoops, you know, it doesn't need to be that deep, and then it goes off into the sunset or sunrise even. So there we go, you get that. So you've got to try and like smooth out these. This is the only problem with the 2 layers, but I think by doing that little change, it won't affect any of the small streams at all, because it takes 4 blocks, so it has to be 4 blocks wide in order to actually get down to 3 blocks deep. And because we've got this other layer here, it should be absolutely fine. So once this actually joins in, we do get a little bit there where it's a little bit deeper. That's fine. That's just because of the width of the join. But it starts to then, there we go, thicken out and actually, you know, expand. And keeps on going down, which looks a lot better as we get into, there we go, especially down here. So I think it's probably easier if I fly down. You can now see that it actually looks more river-like. It looks more smooth as we get into this bigger part of the river, and that's what we didn't have before. So that's where you can like really play around with it. The next bit we're going to be talking about, because I'm pretty sure that -3 should fix those bits over there, and if it doesn't, I'll let you know what I've done to tweak it even more. This will really annoy me. We're going to be doing some actual kind of like textures as well, because as you probably noticed, we've got the dirt, and then it goes straight into the stone, and that's it. And maybe there's a little bit of, you know, diorite and things like that, but it doesn't look very good. So if we have a look at some materials that we actually want, we're going to want something like coarse dirt. We could actually have something like podzol. It depends. So if we try this underwater, we've got coarse dirt. Coarse dirt will definitely work. We've got some podzol. I would definitely say to have cobblestone and also gravel in there. And we'll try these two like this. So we've got some, you know, darker kind of materials. Probably not with the podzol, I think. I think podzol, get rid of. So we'll have that. So let's go for this. This, and probably andesite, because andesite just works with everything. We don't really need too many other ones. I mean, we could use the coral blocks. I'm actually really liking the dead coral blocks at the minute. And I've actually tweaked some of my other brushes. Now that we're in 1.14.4 and World Painter works with it, we can actually do quite a few different things. So, I mean, let's have a look at some of these. So if we've got, let's grab some andesite. Andesite there we go, andesite. So we put this in here and do something like this, you know, where you're just playing around with these different blocks. So we have, like, for example, some tube coral. So sure about that one. Which one should we go with? That one looks very nice. Which one's that one? It's the dead bubble coral. Now that one I haven't actually used in something else. And then we've got this other one, the fire coral as well. It looks quite nice. And they just look like little pebbles and rocks and things like that we want to actually kind of move into everything. Now, unfortunately, we can't really use the brown concrete powder. I quite like the brown concrete powder for like light light brown paths. Of course, as soon as it hits the water, it'll turn into concrete, which makes a lot of sense. But I don't actually think the brown itself, the brown concrete, really works. You know, I just think it's too brown, and same with the like terracotta and things like that. It just doesn't. For me, it just looks a little bit strange when you actually put it in there. So I'm going to go with mostly this coarse kind of dirt. But I'm also going to be mixing in these other materials as well as like a rocky mix. So we're going to have some rocks kind of going in. And we're also going to have that going onto the side of this as well. So that's the other thing. So we're actually going to be mixing in for the side. We're going to actually have a texture. And that will just have a little bit of grass mixed in. Maybe some podzol. But we'll have a look at that. So I've been playing around with a couple of the different brushes using what we just discussed. So what I've got is I've set up a new custom terrain, which you guys should know how to do. Just click on the, you should have custom terrain down here, and click on add new custom terrain, create custom material. If that isn't there, go onto the terrain, and you can click on here and do the same thing, and it'll create the tab. So I've got one that is called Riverbed. Guess what that one is? And the settings are here, so if you did want to pause the video and try these ones out, feel free to do so, or mess around with other ones as well. I did add in a mossy cobblestone, that just kind of worked. I actually had to take off the 2 coral blocks that I actually had in, because they don't seem to act the same way. They didn't go underneath the layer. They actually ended up making pillars in the water. It looked really, really strange. But anyway, that's what I've got for that one. The second material that I've actually created, again, same kind of way, is Riverbank, which is just going to be on the side of it. So again, if you wanted to pause the video this time, we've actually got grass block in there as well. And we do have the coral blocks in there because we can actually use them because it's on the ground layer, so it works. It doesn't have anything that goes a little bit strange with it. So there we go, that's the kind of like materials I've got for that one. So if we actually have a look in here, what we end up getting is something that looks like this. So where am I? There we go. I was just thinking, which direction am I in? So we've got the kind of like riverbank. I'm kind of happy with it. I'll show you guys how I did that in a second and how I actually painted this on. But yeah, it kind of works. It's not too bad. And then we've also got the riverbed as well, which is mostly this kind of dirt layer. I did have to do one little edit because what actually happens is that it would only go down 3 blocks and then it wouldn't go down the entire thing, and I'll show you guys how to actually tweak that. But overall, it's actually not too bad. I did end up putting a little bit of podzol in there. I thought it would actually add something to it, so that does look kind of cool. And you can see I've just used the kind of like little bits of it on the smaller streams as well. Just be very careful with the riverbank that you do remove it from the 2 layers, and it might be easier to do that afterwards. That's what I did anyway. I actually removed it afterwards because we had the 2 layers. There are places where it overlapped, and I'll show you guys where or what was happening when it's over there. There's actually a little example just ahead over here. There we go. So this, what ended up happening is something like this, where there's just blocks sticking out the water of it. Same with these 2 here. So because of that, I didn't remove it off this stream layer. And it's now appeared into it randomly, so it's really strange. Of course, it's up to chance on where it will actually appear, but yeah, just make sure you remove that kind of riverbank one. If it's got the coral in there, you should do anyways, like nice tidying up, but usually you don't have to even worry about it. So applying these 2 layers is really easy. Now, one thing I would recommend that you actually do, that means you don't have to then remove it from the other layer, it makes it a lot easier because it is a terrain tool, is to actually do the riverbank first, and if you've got coral on it, then it will appear because you've got a little bit of a bug at the minute. But yeah, if you do that one first, it actually makes it a lot simpler. So if you go onto your spray can, click on your riverbank terrain, whatever you've gone for, go for quite a soft brush, and the reason we want this is, let me show you, like say for example here, what you'll get is it'll be strong in the middle, and then it will kind of just get little bits around the outside, and you really want that because what you want is, of course, that you've just got little bits. It kind of like fades away nice and softly, and it makes it a lot simpler. I would also recommend, of course, yeah, go for quite a low intensity. I've got 29%. It could be lower than that. And I've also gone below 25 degrees. So this is to do with when you've got the cliffs and things like that. So I've got little bits of cliffs on the side of my river, especially with this one. It's one of the reasons I've chosen this one as like an example. We've got that in there. So I don't want it to affect that. I don't want it to affect the rock. Otherwise, it'll, of course, plaster. It'll just change the rock. So you can see here, you know, with that as being a cliff. Otherwise, what you'd end up getting is it just completely, you know, overwrite it completely. So that's not what we want. So we want below. And all you do is, you know, depends on how much you want it to go out, but, you know, get quite close. Actually, if we go to, for example, here, and you just drag this up and just follow it, and that's it. Because then what you're getting is it's thicker around the kind of like outsides of it. You get a couple blocks, and of course it's up to you how thick you want it, how much material you actually want. Is totally up to you guys. But there we go, you can get something like that, and nice and easy. And then you just follow that going all the way up your river. And again, using that below 25 degrees will really help. Unfortunately, there isn't really a way to automate this. I wish there was. It'd be good if we could actually script it at some point. But there we go. I've gone too thick with that on those sides, so I need to reduce my brush down a little bit. And you just, work your way across into these bits here. You might have like more of a catchment type area on this bit, but that's nice and simple. So next thing. So next bit, let's go for the pencil tool this time. This time we're going to go for riverbed. This one's the easiest. We don't need to blow anything. We're just going to go straight to intensity 100 and going to do only on stream. And you just knock that in, and you just want it on every single bit of that stream. You want the underwater parts to be not just normal dirt, but your actual custom material. Then you can do only on layer river. And of course you can do these as global operations. What you'll notice is that then also wipes out that coral which was held kind of underneath this bit. So yeah, nice and easy, really easy, really nice and simple, and then doesn't affect anything. But that is it, guys. What I also did try out as well for you, it might be something that works in the future, is actually adding a custom object layer. Sorry, not a custom object layer, custom plant layer, should I say. And I did actually try out using this to put the seagrass and tall seagrass. Unfortunately, it doesn't get applied to this kind of water layer. I'm not too surprised about that, but it only works under real water as such. However, if you did want to get that effect, one of the ways that you could do that is to render out the entire map, pull it back into World Painter, and what that would do is then World Painter will recognize that the rivers are water because there won't be layers anymore, and then you could actually use the seagrass kind of layer, create a custom layer for that with the plants, and using the kind of seagrass kind of things to actually put in your different grass layers. It's not something I'm going to be doing because I'm going to be constantly using this .world file to expand it as we go, including on those bits. But nice and easy. But hopefully that has kind of given you guys an idea of how to do rivers in World Painter, and the kind of advantages of it. Really, it just saves a lot of time. You also sort out your terrain on your World Painter map in order to do it, and that's the biggest benefit against World Edit, because World Edit, if you haven't smoothed out your terrain, you then have to do that with World Edit, and it takes a lot longer. And of course, you can then keep on editing this and using it in the future as well. And the same with those custom terrains that you've got, which have of course painted on, but also those two custom layers as well of how you can create that. And if you do bigger rivers, go for a bigger one, call it large river or big river or major river, whatever you wanted to do. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, comment, like, subscribe, tell me guys what you guys want next. In the pipework I've got the tree kind of one next, going to be forests and things like that, but do let me know, and I'll see you guys on the next one.